Okay, first of all, welcome to TDX Bengaluru. This has taken a long wait of 6 years. I was on stage at TDX in 2019 when it happened here. First of all, you can hear me loud and clear, right? Okay, excellent. I expected a few people. I did not expect that many people. We had to give out a few VIP chairs. And the funny thing is, I went for a bio break. I was coming in. They told me the session is full. I had to tell them, please let me in. I am the speaker. But thank you for waking up. During the Bangalore traffic and coming to TDX, this will be 2 fantastic days of learning. And I'm so glad that you picked this session. You will hear a lot about Agentforce over the next 2 days, and what we'll try and do is lay a foundation so you can make the most out of the other sessions. So this session is titled Build an Agentforce Agent from Zero to Production in 40 minutes. We'll walk you through the journey. We are not here to make you Agentforce experts in 40 minutes. That is not possible. But as I said, our focus is making sure you understand the core concepts, and then all the other sessions which are on various other aspects of Agentforce, you can actually use them to the fullest. Salesforce is a publicly traded company, so I need to tell you, make all buying and purchasing decisions based on what you see or hear, based on publicly available information, not based on what you see or hear. This is to keep the Salesforce legal team away, keep me out of jail, and keep you out of jail because you have the audience here as well. So a little bit about me. My name is Gaurav Khetrapal. I've been doing Salesforce for about 18 years. I opened the first org, Salesforce org, in 2007. I still use it. I'm a Salesforce MVP Hall of Fame, and I'm the founder and CEO of a company called OneShift Technologies. With me is Saurabh. Saurabh, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Saurabh Kumar. I'm CTO and co-founder of OneShift Technologies. We are here to talk about the Agentforce, and we are the Agentforce launch partners. We are early days, and we started. I'm the part of Agentforce when we started. So yeah, please go ahead.
All right. So this is what we'll talk about. As I said, it's a 40-minute session. We could have easily done a 2-hour workshop, but that will kill a lot of your time during this event. So what we'll talk about is what are agent. We'll give you an introduction to Agentforce. We'll actually talk about the Agentforce architecture. So this is one of the few sessions which actually goes deep into the architecture as well. And then also about like how do you scale an agent? Once you have built and deployed an agent, you have tested it, it's working fine. Does it actually scale to the peak production levels? We'll talk about that. Then you can end-to-end demo, like right from an idea that you have in your mind. How do you actually build an agent? How do you deploy it? How do you scale it? How do you fine-tune it? There are some best practices in terms of what you should send, some anti-patterns that you should avoid. And then towards the last 5 minutes, we'll open it up, set Q&A as well. How many of you were at the TDX hackathon, which happened? Okay, very few. So if you were not at the TDX hackathon, if you are not very familiar with Agentforce, this session is exactly for you. If you were at the hackathon, if you know a little bit about Agentforce, I'm sure you'll walk away with a few new concepts. So the idea of this session was we actually have something for everybody here. How many developers in the house? Okay, non-developers, we love you as much. But yeah, a lot of what we'll talk about is actually development in terms of how you build agents. The beauty of the Salesforce platform is to write an Agentforce agent, you do not need necessarily to write code. So before I actually get started, and again, this, as I said, a lot of people in the Salesforce community in India, as well as the Salesforce India people have actually been trying to get TDX back to India. So let's give a big round of applause for all of you and for Salesforce for making this happen. With that, we are living, whether we like it or not, in an era which is called the agentic AI era. And we have heard of terms like bots, we heard of terms like co-pilots. Now we are hearing everything is about agents. We are hearing terms like model context protocol. Google I/O, they announced something called as A2A, which is agent-to-agent communication protocol. So let's try and demystify, like how are these different from each other? So maybe 10 years back when you went to a website and they had like a small pop-up at the bottom right, you remember that was a chat bot. So you could answer very, very basic questions that you had. It could answer your queries in terms of, do you need support? Or what is your case number? And then it would try and decipher that information. So the problem with bots was limited intelligence. They operated on fixed rules. If you ask something to the bot, it would actually tell you, I do not know the answer to that, or call the support agent. It was a very frustrating experience. It was also very good at repetitive tasks. If you ask the same question to the bot 100 times, it will actually give you the same answer 100 times. But the problem with bots was they were not learning. They were trained to do certain things. That is what they excelled at, but they did not know how to do anything else. Then we entered an era called co-pilots. And again, the idea was it can actually do a little bit more. It can actually call APIs. It can actually look up information in other places. So for example, typically like on an e-commerce portal like Amazon or Flipkart, if you go to support, if you ask them, what is the status of my order or what is the status of my return or my refund, they're able to tell that. They're able to tell you the tracking number because that intelligence is built into them. So it's smart, tailored assistant. But again, the problem is co-pilots have limited intelligence to generate data as well as learn from data. Agentforce is nothing like what we have seen earlier. So again, the idea is it knows your business, it understands the full context, it can actually plan and reason intelligently. So there is a concept of reasoning engine behind every agent, and we'll talk about that. So Salesforce leverages what we call as a Atlas reasoning engine. It takes informed actions. The keyword here is informed action. Actions are taken by co-pilots as well as chatbots as well. But the idea is because an Agentforce agent has the full context, it can generate information, it can actually reach out to other sources beyond LLMs also. So it can actually take the best information and it can actually, so example, how many of you use ChatGPT? Yeah, so again, I'm probably preaching to the choir, but again, we know that how good sometimes ChatGPT is with recommendations, everything else we call as hallucination. The idea is Agentforce can also scale during peak load, and we'll talk about it in terms of like what is the tooling available to you. So what exactly is an agent? What does it do? What are the key attributes? So agent, any Agentforce agent, or for that matter, any generic agent has 5 key attributes. There is something called as the role. Okay, in the role, you define a topic and you define instructions. A topic could be broad category of what the agent is supposed to do. So for example, it could be like case management is a broad topic. The action is what the agent is specifically supposed to do within that topic. So for example, should I update a case? Should I create a case? Those are specific actions. Data is what knowledge is already available to the agent. So that is data which is available. And again, it could be data which is within your Salesforce org. It could be data from external sources. Could be data coming from external sources through a mechanism like data cloud, FTMU, which has for other orchestration mechanisms also. Action is what the agent can actually do for you. And this is where like your prompts come in. This is where your actions come in as well. Guardrails. We've all heard of terms like ethical AI, responsible AI. We all know what happened when a certain telecom company in the early days of ChatGPT put out their data on ChatGPT, and what really happened with that data, all of us know. So there is a common saying in English, with power comes responsibility. AI is very powerful. Like it's probably the most powerful tech innovation the world has ever seen. But with power comes responsibility. And with Agentforce, you need to establish certain guardrails. You need to make sure the agent is doing something that it should do. It is also not doing anything that it is not supposed to do. Channels, where should the agents actually work? So for example, it's already very common to see channels like WhatsApp, channels like Slack, other enterprise channels as well. Facebook Messenger is actually working on a channel based on agents as well. Who knows? There might be a channel for Tinder tomorrow as well. So Agentforce for Tinder as well coming down the line. But the idea is there is a lot of possibility. And then what we also call these as single modal agents or multimodal agents. So I'll also talk about this in a little bit as well. So all the 5 attributes at the top, which I have talked about. Again, role, what is the job description? What is the agent supposed to do? Data, what is the knowledge and resources it relies on? Actions, what is the agent? What can the agent do? Guardrails, what is it should not do? And then the channels, which is the workspace or the play area for the agent. All of this on top, and obviously on the bottom, you have what we call as the Salesforce core layer, which is data, AI, trust, and action. Data can be your structured data. It can be unstructured data as well. When I say unstructured data, Agentforce is powerful enough. If I have a PDF file or a CSV file or an Excel file, or even like a text file, I can actually ask the agent to extract information out of it, and it can do that. And then there is obviously, it can also read metadata, which makes it very, very powerful for developers. Like, I can actually ask it like, okay, I'm looking for this particular custom field. Which object is this being used on? If I delete this particular field, what are the objects that are impacted? All of that is there. And then there is a whole semantic layer in terms of abstraction. AI, obviously, like all of you have heard of LLMs. Now the world is actually moving from LLMs to LLMs as well. There is RAG, there is a reasoning model called Atlas, which we'll cover in a little bit. And then there is trust, which is one of the fundamental principles of Salesforce. As I said, I've been working on Salesforce for the last 18 years. If there is one principle which Salesforce has never shied away from, that is trust. And again, that is also what makes the Salesforce platform so powerful. There is obviously compliance and data residency. There is Hyperforce, which allows you to kind of host your data in certain geographies. There is compliance in terms of platform encryption. There's a platform called Shield as well, which you actually use for compliance. Then there are actions in terms of like what all you can do. So as I said, you can use things like Data Cloud to harmonize data from multiple sources. You can use an orchestration layer like MuleSoft to do that. You can actually use platforms like CRMA or Tableau for analytics, and then you can build applications on top of it. So I'll give you a very, very simple use case. This is a use case for field service. I've been working on field service for a very long time. It was a manual process. So anybody here who's a field service developer? Okay, a few. So anybody who's worked on field service will tell you the most complex part of field service is scheduling and dispatching. Okay, and especially when you are doing it at an enterprise scale, like you have thousands of field workers whom you need to manage. So let's say there is a new case log for a malfunctioning IoT device in Salesforce. It could be on IoT Cloud, which was earlier called Thunder. What Agentforce can actually do is it can actually not just access your historical data, it can actually tap into the live data feed as well. It can provide recommendations, it can provide knowledge articles from Salesforce. The rep escalates the case to a field service agent. This is where the agent comes in. We are eliminating what we classically call in AI as a human in the loop. All of this can actually be done through Agentforce. What Agentforce will do is it will check up the customer's schedule in terms of availability. It will check who's the best suited agent, field service rep to kind of work on this particular case. It will actually get it scheduled. It will dispatch that visit, and then the service rep goes there, completes the visit, does the repair. If this was not for Agentforce or if this was not for AI, you would probably be using somebody who's kind of doing it, doing the scheduling, somebody who would be approving it. So what it is doing is eliminating what I again said as human in the loop. So this is just a very simple use case. We'll actually show you another use case which we'll kind of build in real time as well. But the possibilities are immense. And what Salesforce has really run really well is, and again, giving credit to Salesforce where due. But again, as I said, what Salesforce has done really well is they've actually brought agents to every cloud. So for example, Health Cloud, there are health agents. Marketing Cloud, there are marketing cloud agents. Commerce Cloud, there are shopper agents, merchant agents. And then again, they tried this with Einstein as well, with the predictive AI. It worked with limited success, but with Agentforce, there's a lot of customer stories already evolving in terms of how people are using agents. What is the Agentforce agent development lifecycle? So this is actually no different from your classical software development lifecycle, or what we call as SDLC. You basically ideate. What do you want the agent to do? You come up with your ideas. You set up. You basically use a tool called Agent Builder. You configure your agent in the Agent Builder. You develop your prompts. You fine-tune your models. You test it using your testing center. You deploy it using the Agent Builder, and then you monitor it using, again, your testing center. This is, in most cases, what you would do. But what if I actually want to test it out for peak scenarios, or for example, like 100 million users, or like a very, very fictitiously high workload? So again, there are specific tools for that. We'll talk about that. But what is the workflow? So if you are a developer, how would you actually go about building an agent? Once you have created an idea in your mind, okay, this is what I want my agent to do, what is really the next step? So this is actually how it works. First of all, you need to define the topic, which is like broadly, what is the agent supposed to do? You write the topic label, you write the classification description in terms of like, how do you classify the various actions associated with the scope in natural language. This is where the real power of Agentforce comes in. That you are actually specifying everything in English, and somebody actually put out a very nice quote that English is the new programming language. And that is actually true, because even if you're not a developer with agentic AI, with tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Clint, and several other IDEs, you can actually do a lot of development without even writing a single line of code yourself. So once you've created a topic, then you need to kind of you need to define the action. So for example, case management is my topic. Case action could be create a record or update a record. Similarly, on the Sales Cloud side, if it's an SDR, it could be create a lead, update a lead, convert a lead, move an opportunity from one stage to another. All of those are actions. For topics as well as actions, you need to define what is called as instructions. Okay, instructions is basically what you are feeding as input to the agent. And again, everything in AI is depending on the kind of quality of inputs that you provide. So if it's a good input, you will get a good output. Otherwise, it's garbage in and garbage out. So you provide your action instructions, you provide instructions for inputs and output variables in the natural language. You associate your actions to the topics. That is how agent knows. For example, if you have like 10 actions and then you have 10 topics and then you have 100 actions, you actually tell, okay, for these specific actions, I need to associate to a specific topic. You set the topic instructions, you test for desired outcomes. This is where you are kind of training your agent as well. If everything works well, that is the happy path. You can go ahead and deploy your agent. Otherwise, you refine your instructions. You refine your action instructions, topic instructions. You also refine your topic classification descriptions. Maybe I created the topic ambiguously, like maybe I created 2 topics around case management. One is case management, the other is case handling. Both are supposed to do the same thing, but the agent is actually getting confused. So now let's talk a little bit about Atlas. How many of you have actually heard about a term called Atlas? Okay, excellent. So every agent actually needs to use something called as a reasoning engine. Okay, an agent by itself, it has the certain data, it has the context, but it needs to reason before it can generate a response for you. It can actually, it should reason in terms of like, why should this response be generated? And the more data an agent has in that sense, the better it is. So for example, already you have your LLM, which has been trained and it already is providing a lot of data. But as I said, the real power of Agentforce is when you mash it up with external data. So you could be having like a Google BigQuery source. You could actually be having something in Snowflake, Databricks, Amazon. With a tool like Data Cloud, you can actually ingest all of that data into Salesforce. You can harmonize that data. I can get data from multiple streams. Let's say I have like product data, which is residing in an external system, inventory data, which is coming from somewhere else, order data is coming from another system. How do I actually get it all into Salesforce and then kind of have my agent feed on it? Again, the answer for that is Data Cloud. So you basically allow your agents to kind of retrieve that data from Data Cloud. Then it does a few things. There is a plan phase. Again, we'll actually show that to you. There is an evaluation phase in terms of how you actually build your agent. And then there is a refinement phase, which is basically your fine-tuning your agent. Then you create actions. And again, those actions, we actually show that it is actually interacting with the customer 360 apps and channels. Those actions could be anything. It could be like a simple update in Slack. It could be create a record, update a record, and do any other potential action in any of the clouds. And then there are certain actions, which is basically what is the end result of that action. Again, that data can actually be fed to Data Cloud. And again, it could be a two-way sync and you can feed it back to the external sources as well. So how do you actually test Agentforce reasoning? We'll actually show you the agent builder in terms of how you actually test your agent type. How do you plan it? Obviously, for bulk testing, there is actually a tool called, for testing at scale, there is a tool called Agentforce Testing Center. For Apex, again, the classical way to test is Apex unit tests. Do not write unit tests just for coverage. Write it for the scenarios that you actually want to test on. So how does the agent actually work? Like you have ideated, you're in the agent builder. How does it actually work behind the scenes? So as an end user, what you do is you actually strike a conversation with your agent. You ask your agent. So for example, I'm asking what is the recommended product based on my order history. And let's imagine that this is Amazon. So what the agent does is it actually goes from conversation phase to plan phase. Agent picks up the right topics. So remember topics, instructions, actions associated and how we kind of integrated them together. So it actually goes into the plan phase. It picks up the right topic, follows the instruction. And again, this is where the quality of the instruction comes in. So it classifies this is the topic associated with it. It is order management. What are the instructions associated with? So when a customer asks about a product recommendation, make sure you already have their email address. So obviously, if I don't know who the customer is without their email, which is the unique identifier, I cannot actually tell them order history. Do not allow changing the order details without first confirming with the customer. So again, that's something that the agent is doing right. It is trained to do that. Then is the execution phase. So agent actually executes multiple actions and services. It is actually going and invoking a lookup order. It is invoking return order. It is making product recommendations. It is invoking exchange. And then it, as I said, it can be invoked, enriched with actions from multiple other sources, which could be Data Cloud, which could be CRM, which could be user input, which could be external, which could also be like sources like MCP or again, agent-to-agent communication protocol. So for example, if I have like a Shopify agent or any other commerce agent on the other side, I could actually have it feeding data to my Salesforce Agentforce as well. And then all of it comes together. Agentforce then generates a response. So based on your order history, we recommend the specific product. We would complement your previous product purchase. So basically like making that recommendation as the final output. So some best practices, and these are again a little bit more advanced. So you will probably hear more about these in the other sessions. Your employee agent, which is provided as default in Agentforce, runs in the user context. So anytime you need to debug, you actually can look at the debug logs for the platform integration user. Again, what Salesforce has done really well, and again, credit to Salesforce, and I didn't get paid for doing this, is now you don't actually need to actually buy or buy a subscription or buy a license or work for an agent for or a partner to get Agentforce licenses. Anytime you spin up a developer or Agentforce now is by default a part of it. And again, what they've also done is you don't just start with a blank slate. There are a number of agents pre-built, which Sarah will show you in some time. You can actually see, you can modify them, you can actually fine-tune them to see how they are working, and then you can create your own agents as well. Similarly, service agent, these actually run as the assigned user, so this is a little bit different. And then there are certain mechanisms in terms of Apex actions, which again we'll talk about. You have to authenticate before action execution. You have to limit your SQL queries to expose only necessary field. This again comes back to what I call as guardrails or responsible AI or ethical AI. You should not expose more information to any agent, rather, even if it's Agentforce or any other agent, what it does not need to know. So classical English wording, never tell somebody that they don't need to know, and that's true for Agentforce as well. And again, you need to kind of run your classes with sharing mode and with user mode as well. And then there are some best practices. I'll probably not spend a lot of time on it, but again, when you get started with Agentforce, half the battle is building your agent, deploying it in production, but the other half is making it scale, fine-tuning it, debugging the issues, which is the harder part and which a lot of people don't talk about. But there are some best practices. If you're hitting CPU timeout, again, if your agent is doing a lot of heavy lifting, this can happen. You can actually break your action into multiple actions. Always a good idea to keep it very, very granular. You can offload resource-intensive tasks, and that's a very classical Salesforce strategy. Anytime you have more data or you have things that you cannot do within the platform governor limits, you move it outside the platform, or what we call as F platform. So you can actually move it to Heroku and you can expose it at agent for action. Obviously, write optimized SQL queries. Don't don't create records in a loop. Don't create things which would kind of show up in terms of your PMD rules. There would be violations for best practices. Always ensure you have sufficient filtering. Agents run very well with large data volumes as well, as long as you have created it right and the configuration is right. Again, if you're using data cloud, you're using features like calculated insights, enrichments, there are possibilities that you will need to spend more time on fine-tuning your agents. And again, use asynchronous processing. Again, like we know, like Apex developers especially know, like there are multiple ways to do that. So if it's a long-running process, the same concept applies. You kind of use asynchronous processing and you ensure you return an immediate response, and then there is a notification. And then bulkify as well. Again, if you think users can take the action with multiple layers of data, from a performance perspective, it's always good to bulkify your agents. How do you scale your agents? We will actually not show a demo of this because this itself will take 30 minutes. But there are actually products called Scale Test, Scale Center, and Apex Guru, which are again not very well publicized. There are actually sessions on this at TDX as well. Scale Test is actually how your agent performs at peak scale. You can actually simulate that environment. Scale Center gives you a lot of real-time insights on Agentforce, scale, and performance. Apex Guru is a tool which actually gives you insights into like patterns, anti-patterns, best practices. So there is actually, I'll be a shameless plug. There's another session which I'm doing, which is actually on Scale Center and Apex Guru. It is actually in Breakout 4, same hall, if you want to join in. And these people are actually from the Apex Guru and Scale Center team. So you'll actually hear from them itself directly in terms of how they built these tools. Setup is very, very simple. Like most things in Salesforce, you go to the setup menu, you quick find, you go to Einstein setup, you turn it on. Once it's on, the toggle is on. You see a button called new agent here. Okay, and that's where you can actually go and start creating your agents. Now is the time for me to shut up, and now is the time for us to see some action. So Saurabh, I'll turn it over to you for a demo.
Thank you, Gaurav. So before that, I just wanted to make sure, am I audible? Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm moving to the demo part. Before going to the demo, I would like to explain I'm working for one of the auto services company. And what's the problem? Problem is that customer has to come, they need to call to agent, hey, I need to book an appointment for my car. And sometime what happened, call is getting busy, hey, agent is busy and you can call sometime and then hang on. So this is what's happening. So now what we resolve. We train an agent for that. Any customer can come on this community portal where they can find the availability, can book the appointment, check the status as well. So for that, this is my community portal, and this is agent. I'm being customer. I am here, and now agent has been started. Now agent asking me how may I can help you. So I want to book an appointment.
You can leave the typo. I think that's smart enough.
Yeah. So this is well smart and okay. So see, it's asking me email address. So email address is the primary key for this whole concept. So I'm going to provide my email address. It's going to search my detail inside the system, whether I'm existing customer or not. So it's saying we couldn't find you. That means I'm very new for this because I just moved to Bangalore. So now I need to register myself. So I need to provide yes. I want to register myself for this company. Now it's asking me for basic information. So it can be restored. So I need to provide my first name, last name, and my vehicle details.
And again, you see it's smart enough. So Saurabh entered his first name and last name. It actually was able to recognize the first name is Saurabh, not Kumar.
So now I need to provide detail and say every time I'm providing and it's so something going down. Model XLS6 I can provide altogether as well.
Yeah, we are co-founders. I never knew Saurabh at the end of the excellence.
Still, it's asking me. Okay. Something going. Oh, okay, just Excel 6. Maybe let me provide. Okay. It got restart. Now I have full information. Now it's asking me registration number. So maybe PLR 001. This is my registration number, vehicle registration number.
So anytime a professional trip, as I said, I've been doing this for years. Anytime you see an error in a demo, it means it was not hard-coded, it was not scripted. Saurabh, what is the issue?
I'm just trying to see. Agent is making more fun, so that's okay. Finally, my information got succeed. So before moving further, I can give you this. I can walk you through Salesforce, what happened behind the scene. So this is agent services, auto services app where I use three objects. One is vehicle, that is custom object. Another one is customer, that is contact object. And another is service, that is again custom objects. So customer, that is holding the customer information, vehicle, that is vehicle information, and the services, wherever we are booking an appointment, that holds all the service information. So let me open what the recent one. Okay, so this is the recent one. This is what I provided the detail, and same time, this is vehicle owner, this is customer details I provided. Okay, coming back to vehicle detail, there is related services. Right now, we can see there is 0 services. Now, if I'm going back on the portal side, it asking me, would you like to schedule? If yes, provide the date format. In this date format, I trained my agent in this format, but definitely we can train our agent multiple formats as a location and different parameters as well. So I'm going to provide the date. Okay. Now it's going to give me available slots for this So there are available slot 9 to 10, 10 to 11, and so on. So any slot I need to book, I just need to provide, I want to book at this slot. Okay. Now my appointment has been booked. If you want to reschedule, we can do that. So now I can go in Salesforce. I can refresh this page. Okay, this record has been created. The date, time, what we have chosen, that is here. So this is all about a small demo. Now I can walk you through about how you can embed your first agent. So for that, as you would see, there is an instance setup that you need to enable the very first step. And then next step, definitely you need to enable your Agentforce agent. So for that, you need to go in setup and open Agentforce agent. For me, it's already enabled. So this is enabled. Now this is the new button. Using that, we can create our first agent. I'm going to create the new one. Okay. Now we can see we have two options to create an agent. One is create from template. Another one is create from a Gen AI. So create from template. In that case, we need to instruct our agent from starting to end. And if you are talking about Gen AI, in that case, we need to provide enough detail in English language only. So Gen AI itself build an agent for you with the complete detail. But again, this is AI and you need to make sure everything, whatever build, that is reviewed by you. So I'm going to use this from template. On template also, we have a two option. One is setup. Most of us developers are here. So this is for Salesforce, or you can enable for yourself. You can get the CRM information. Another one is Agentforce service agent. For that, we can train our agent and that can be enabled. So I'm going to use that next. Okay. So these all are the few topics that has been default added. If we want to remove that, we can just select, it can be deselected. So there are several options like case management, account management, reservations management, and etc. Actually, these are the topics that contains related information. So I'm going to use the default setting for now. Next. Obviously, we have to provide our agent name, TDX 25. Okay. You have to give the description about our agent. What would be the complete life cycle for this agent? What would be the role of that agent? So we need to clearly identify in our English language, and agent can be trained itself. The company, for which company, as I mentioned, I was working for auto services company. So I had to provide about that company detail. Here we are working for TDX 25 demo. I'm not going to add more detail respecting our time. So I'm just giving you a single word, but definitely this can be enough details that will define of my company. Now, this is the user. That user will identify what data or schema we want to exposed to that user. So obviously each agent can have a separate user, or you can use same user on several agents as well. This is the option which has been used if you want to keep the log for agent, what the activity is doing. If not, you can just deselect it. Next. Okay. This is data source. This is optional as well. This can be enabled as per the need. And this is enabled whenever your data cloud is enabled in your org. So for that, in my work, data cloud is enabled. So there could be two options. One is knowledge article. Another one is files. We can upload our files, or we can use knowledge article, whatever we have in the system. For that, definitely knowledge article should be enabled in our system. I'm not going to use that. Keep it optional. Just create it. Now, our very first agent has been ready for the test. So you can see we have all other topics, what I showed you, like account management, case management, and other side we can see this agent. This agent can be deployed as I show you. It can be on community side, it can be on Slack, it can be on any of the messenger like WhatsApp and etc.
Let's activate it and
Yeah. So to test it, we do not need to activate it, but that's fine. We can activate it for any of deployment. So we can start chatting with our agent and we can test it. I want to learn and keeping it short. So it's going to give me a very small detail that goes to this case management. So this is just an example. One agent can behave or can work for several other roles. So yeah, I'm respecting a time and I'm just setting down myself.
Let's go back to the slides.
Yeah.
Toggle back to the slide. Let's go to the full screen view. View slideshow.
Yeah.
All right. So again, as I said, the idea was to kind of show you a little bit in terms of like how the actual Agentforce setup really works. Why should you learn Agentforce? Again, as I said, if you are a Salesforce developer, it is not something which is nice to have. Again, the idea with agents is they are here to stay. Whether we learn it or not is an individual choice. But just to give you perspective, and like we talk about like AI will take jobs from developers and all of that. There is the right way to say it is AI will take, not AI will not take your job. Somebody who knows AI might actually take your job. Just some examples in terms of how easy it is to kind of do things with Data Cloud as well as Agentforce together. Model setup and integration, if you do it yourself, DIY is do it yourself, 15 months versus a couple of weeks. Trust layer in terms of establishing guardrails, several months versus a month. Reasoning engine, which is the most complex part. Like try building a reasoning engine, it will take you 2 years, God bless you. And then within Agentforce, you can actually do it. And this is at an enterprise scale. So 1.6 months is still kind of very, very reasonable. So there are agents which are mature. What we showed you is probably a level 0, level 1, or maybe at most is level 2. But level 0 is something which is very, very repetitive, very similar to copilots in bots. Level 1 is something which can actually assist humans by recommending actions, retrieving information. This could be again from multiple sources. Level 2 is a little bit more mature. Like there is simple orchestration. It works across a single domain, but within the siloed data environment. Then level 3 and level 4 is what the world is actually getting into. These are like the real potential of agentic AI, which is complex orchestration, multiple domains. You can actually, like as I said, work between Salesforce and ServiceNow, work between Salesforce and any other enterprise system, SAP, or could be anything else, which is also where your agents can actually pull up data from those sources as well. And then the last one, which is multi-agent orchestration. If you are following like agentic AI in general, this is like being the biggest announcement at every single conference which has happened in the last few months. Again, at Google announced something called as A2A protocol, agent-to-agent communication protocol. Salesforce is actually one of the launch partners. The idea is right now you actually, if you want to pull in data from, let's say, SAP, yeah, there is a SAP API which you invoke from Apex, you get the response back, you actually process that data. What it is actually going to do is you have your Agentforce, which is actually going to make that request on your behalf. There will be a SAP agent on SAP side, which will actually respond to that. You get the data back, it does all the deserialization, you actually specify it, okay, these are the records I want to put this data into. It actually does that for you as well. So again, we are kind of eliminating human in the loop. You still write, you still need developers to create those agents. You still need developers to fine tune and test those agents. So again, AI will not take your job. It's just that if you use tools like Agentforce, it will actually make you a stronger and better developer. And again, it's all about maturity. Like if you are a beginner, you start off writing very, very simple level 0, level 1 agents. As I tell you, it's pretty much possible in a matter of 40 minutes. And then you fine tune them. And then you kind of see in terms of like, how are they responding to your prompts? How are they responding to your conversations? You change the instructions and then you kind of go along in that sense. That's pretty much it. I think we have run out of time for Q&A. So what we'll do is we'll actually stick around here. There is still time for keynote. I think even if you get there by 9:30, 9:45, you will be able to get in. But I do want to take this opportunity. I think there is opportunity to win an Amazon gift card, and who doesn't like free gifts? So please scan this QR code. This is the first session, so you realistically have a very good chance of winning this if you do this now. share this in the screen, and I think it will be in the other sessions as well. But thank you so much for showing up. A lot of you were actually here in the queue as early as 7:30 when I was not here. So really appreciate that and enjoy the rest of TDX. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.